I can't be underground for a year, 10 years, my whole life waiting for freedom to be handed to me. Freedom is something you have to take for yourself. This is what Marcus said when he got threatened by the Department of Homeland Security after telling his story in front of the press. But what does freedom stand for? Freedom is different to everyone. There are people who define freedom in being themselves, and there are people who define freedom in not being imprisoned. The latter supports Bob Marley's view of freedom, who once said, "Better to die fighting for freedom than be a prisoner all the days of your life." And isn't this essentially what Marcus meant as well? But being imprisoned doesn't necessarily mean staying behind bars, being guarded by policemen. To some, freedom concerns the mind. Gandhi once agreed to this point of view by saying that you can chain me, you can torture me, you can even destroy this body, but you will never imprison my mind. This coming from a man who could no longer bear the inequalities and injustice of having different religions or a different color of skin, has now become one of the most famous fighters for freedom and peace in the world. He inspired hundreds and thousands of people to fight for what they believe in their right to freedom. One more example for this is Malala Yousafzai, a woman not much older than myself who could not stand being threatened as if she were less worth than a man. To her, freedom means speaking up for those who cannot be heard and using your voice to make a change in the world, because nobody can silence your dreams. To all these people, Marcus, Bob Marley, Gandhi and Malala, freedom is something you have to find for yourself. Nobody will just give it to you, because freedom is different to everyone, and only when you fight for it, you can keep it and appreciate what freedom actually means. The teenagers realized that they were powerless against those who detained them, but Marcus knew his rights, and he knew that he didn't have to give them anything they want, because he got the right to his privacy. In this scene, in which the first oppression of freedom is being described, the reader gets confronted with two different kinds. First, the freedom of moving around as one wishes, and second, the freedom of speech. This scene is very important, as not only Marcus but the reader gets in touch with the idea of freedom. The passage introduces Marcus' thirst for freedom because he experiences that it is something that anyone at any point of time can take away from you. He even describes this later in the book, after he had not only experienced but also realized what it means to be free. This is supported by a statement that I mentioned in the beginning, in which Marcus says that he cannot wait for someone handing his freedom to him, because that won't happen. In chapter 12, another very important scene happens, which is connected to freedom. Ainge and Marcus went to an illegal open-air concert in the Dolores Park, which was organized through the Ixnet. 50 different bands were playing there, under the theme, "Don't trust anyone over 25. Marcus described how amazing the crowd's energy was, as everyone was having a good time while listening to music and dancing. Every person was described as smiling in a different way, because they were happy to finally live for something without being controlled all the time. On this first part of the scene, Marcus described the moment of freedom within the crowd, that the people were feeling it. The concert was described as a pause from all the drama, the surveillances and rules in the real world. They could break free from their chains for a minute and pretend that everything is normal. By doing so, by celebrating together and freeing their souls for a day, everybody could motivate each other. They could stand strong together and fight the pressure from society. Furthermore, this scene describes the power of people as well as the power of positive thinking. If enough people stand together, and when the good outweighs the bad, people can see that you don't have to accept your freedom being taken from you. You can take it back. However, the second part of the scene describes the police demanding the crowd to disperse. The people reacted by motivating each other to take their city back until the police used all different kinds of methods to get the people to fall back, including taking some of them in custody again. In the second part, the people used their united power and energy that they gained during the concert to fight for their freedom against the police, which is exactly what Marcus believes in. This scene can be seen as a visualization of what freedom means to Marcus, since he said that everyone has to fight if they want to be free. By interrupting the concert, the police thus didn't just stop kind of flash mob from the Ixnat calling for freedom, but also the feeling of safety in one's own city. This scene can be interpreted in a way that the crowd remembered during the concert how important it is to be free and what it actually means. They therefore couldn't stop fighting against the police because losing their freedom again wasn't an option. Following this, the police understood the danger of the people wanting to be free and the power that could come out of this. Therefore, they had to stop them before they would become too strong. In this scene, the people, and especially Marcus, realized that they do not have to fear the terrorists, but the government as well. One of the most important scenes in the book is when Marcus gets detained for a second time. He was sleeping on a couch at a friend's house when the DHS grabbed Marcus and took him with them. Once again, they tortured him by putting a bag over his head, which was so tight at his throat that he had a tough time to breathe. DHS didn't just take his freedom away. They treated him inhumanely, and just because they were the right hand of the government, they thought their actions were okay. Marcus suddenly didn't care about what had happened to him because he knew that whatever the DHS does with him, that he is the winner. And he realized that the power they have doesn't mean that their acting will just be forgotten. He already talked to the press and handed in a very incriminating evidence video. He did everything he could have done. And even if he hadn't won for the moment, he knew that this community would never stop fighting. Marcus was very happy and smiled after he realized that, and when the transporter hit on the water, he was kind of happy because his friends were there too. This scene symbolizes Marcus' victory because he started the revolution to freedom and inspired people to fight for what they believe in. He fought for what he believed in, and that was the only thing that mattered. In the afterword by Andrew Bonnie Huang, the Xbox hacker shares his view on modern world hacking, as well as on the book Little Brother. He describes having felt similar emotions as Marcus and understanding what the teenager has gone through. Right in the beginning of his comment, he says that hackers are explorers, digital pioneers, which both describes the creativity and interest in breaking through borders and finding their limits. Furthermore, explorers aim to find new places and possibilities which cannot be done by giving in to social pressures. They have to free themselves from such as well as from loss in order to reinvent themselves over and over again and to push the limits. As Andrew describes, hackers are curious about what the world has to offer and are thus only following a natural impulse that aims to free their minds. However, he also says that you cannot be a free thinker unless you are surrounded by an understanding and supportive environment that teaches you that it's okay to be yourself and follow those impulses, those dreams which are part of being a free person. Only then you can learn that nobody can allow or forbid you what to think, even if they imprison your body, which supports exactly the feeling that Marcus had in the end. Therefore, it is always important to stay positive and believe in the things that we can achieve, rather than giving in to fear and allowing it to take over control of our thoughts. Furthermore, Bonnie describes the paradox that hacking is his way of freeing himself from the world, while at the same time technology is enhancing the paranoia of feeling unsafe. It turns us into prisoners of our own devices, because the more we make use of technology, the more we need them to live our lives. In addition to that, we get reminded every day by going through metal detectors at the airport or by seeing security cameras that there is a reason to be afraid. So how can we truly be free? Of course we are free to use our technological devices as we please, and of course nobody can take away our thoughts and dreams. Bonnie the hacker lives in a world of technology, trying to use it to express himself freely. According to him, everything in our environment can either chain us or free us, but it depends on us to choose one. We cannot rely on someone else to give us freedom. If we want to not only express our freedom but to actually feel it, we have to step out of the door and dare to be free. Because only we know what is best for us and what we need to be free. To me, freedom stands for something greater than just the right to act however I choose. It stands for equal opportunities in life and for security to everyone, to liberty and the pursuit of happiness. To me, it is important to have good security in a country, because without any I couldn't live the way as I do now. But I also agree with Marcus that too much surveillance is taking you a part of your freedom. Certainly, freedom does mean the right to do as one pleases, to think, to believe, to speak, to worship or no worship, to move about and to generally act as you choose. Marcus fought for a good reason, because he knew what he is fighting for.